Hi, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Align's Daily Dose of Advice, our way of bringing you valuable insights and thought leadership from business experts from around the world on various topics that we hope will help you and your business. As usual, my name is Eugene Terk. I'm the Vice President of Business Development at Align. If you'd like to learn more about Align, you can check us out at aligntoday.com. And my guest today is Rich Scott. Rich is a leading focal point certified business coach, international trainer, and executive based in Vancouver, Canada. He is a multi-year global winner of Focal Point's Coaching Practice of the Year, and he has also won awards for sales and coaching excellence based on his client satisfaction. Rich, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks, Eugene. I appreciate that. What I took out of reading all those accolades was I've been around a while.
Well, that's good. You have wisdom and experience.
Yeah.
So as we sit here today in the middle of this COVID crisis, I'm sure lots of people may be having
Yeah.
some trouble focusing on the most important things right now. I'm sure many business leaders are dealing with lots of different challenges and perhaps some even exploring some opportunities during the crisis. I know that one of the things that you really work on with your coaching clients is focus. And so I was hoping to sort of discuss that topic and start at the conversation out by saying, asking you about sort of what are your recommendations for a business owner or company leader to do first in terms of identifying the right things to focus on as we sort of make it through this business interruption?
Great point, Eugene. Yeah. So it's circumstances have happened. I normally talk with clients and leaders around this, that circumstances have changed. And I know that's kind of obvious, but that happens in different economies, different situations, etc. And this is no different. It's just really big circumstances have changed. And so, the first place to start with on that focus is just a reality check. And you don't have to feel blame or responsibility when things don't go the way you want it to be. It's just, hey, it's the reality. This is where we're in.
Yeah.
Yes, we could have maybe done stuff better. We could have done some things differently. But just objectively, as a leader, just relax, take a deep breath in and go, hey, we're not in Kansas anymore. Things are totally different. And so that being the case, what are we going to do next? And so when I'm working with clients, that's often, what do our customers, value from us? What do they buy from us? What do they really buy from us?
Mm-hmm.
Examples of restaurants, well, they buy food and experience and stuff. Yeah, but what do they really buy from us? And so that focus, that's a great first step. I guess it's kind of part A and B is, what's the reality we're in right now? And B, what do our customers really buy from us? Get clear on that, and just start with a clean piece of paper that everything's on the table. So starting from where we're at just right now, what's the reality and what do our customers really, really want from us? Not need. It's too slow.
Mm-hmm.
I've got teenagers, and if I just talk about what they need, I don't get hurt. But if I talk about what they want, it's a great way to start the engagement.
Sounds great. Obviously, our employees and our team members are some of our most valuable assets, and they're dealing with obviously lots of challenges right now as well. What are some examples of ways to focus on them during these times?
Yeah, great point. So especially in service-based businesses, we often hear the term, hey, our team are our most valued assets, that type of thing. When you get into a crisis, if I could use that term in the current situation, is realizing that especially service-based organizations, is they need people to operate, like internally. And so they're going through circumstances and emotions, and those emotions are real.
Mm-hmm.
So if I think something's going to happen, that's my reality. My emotions are going to influence or all the way to the point of dictate what I have as a priority or how I'm going to behave. So winning organizations I've been working with right now have seen some great results by acknowledging that their team is the key to their survival and flourishing through this. And setting that as the first priority is before we even start looking outward to our clients. Imagine my organization had a fire and we couldn't open. We'd board it up and we'd inform our people about what we're going to do next.
Right.
And so that's early in this sort of situation that's come up. And then the next one is, okay, what do we have to do to go forward? Well, we need our team. So what are the emotions they're dealing with? Yes, they want to work and they want this, but that's probably second or third down the line. They might be scared. They might be worried. So let's address that, both them directly and their families. Because, man, if I go to work and my family's staying at home, am I exposing it to them? Are they worried? Should I just stay home? So those are the realities is treat the team as good or better than a customer, because they're a core requirement for the success of the business going forward.
We talked about customers and sort of finding out what does the customer want, what does the customer buy from us. What do we do to maintain our focus on those existing customers? Or, for the companies that can even sort of look beyond existing customers and start thinking about how are we going to get new customers, either during the crisis or once we get out of it?
Great question. So going back to that first thing I talked about is what do our customers, and that would be kind of past and current, uh, what do we do to add value? Like what do they really want from us? Getting really clear on that, and that's our current slash past customers. And like you mentioned, there's a lot of organizations that have maybe checked that box already, and they can even start thinking about our future customers. So I just want to emphasize that it's what they want, not necessarily what they need.
Yeah.
So with the busyness mentally of so many things changing, so many things going on right now, yeah, I want to serve their needs, but I can't get to that if I haven't addressed the things that are screaming in the front of their mind right now on what they want. And I think to really, I'm going to use the term serve the customer, both have to be acknowledged. And it's probably easier traction, easier success to address what they're thinking of and they're wanting right now, and then earn the right to start dealing with some of those bigger needs.
Um, for those companies that are struggling right now, and maybe they may even have been struggling before COVID-19, but COVID-19 has now really exposed some of the weaknesses in their business or their business model. Is now a good time to help those companies refocus on their business model and try to determine what changes they can make to their underlying fundamental business that will help them go in a new and different direction to help them sort of go from surviving to actually thriving?
Yeah, so great question. So if I understand it, it's like, hey, we're using the situation and maybe we were struggling before, maybe we're struggling now to varying degrees. Um, what are some strategies we can do right now and going forward for success? Okay, so that's my summation of what I think you're asking. So the first thing is realizing that this situation, I kind of talked about it on the top, maybe forces us to make a change.
Hmm.
It's like, hey, if I don't have a deadline, I'm not going to complete a project or get ready for a presentation or whatnot, because I don't have to. But because there's a deadline, those circumstances have forced me to take action, or in this case, make a change. So I kind of group it into four, and there's more, but I'm overly simplifying it here. There's businesses right now that I think is helpful for people to acknowledge that are booming.
Right.
They might be involved in, what I'm saying is the COVID economy, but
Yeah.
they're impacted and they're crazy. So I always start there because it's kind of assuring to people to hear, you know what, actually, I hadn't thought of it that way. There is a bunch of businesses that are just flat out crazy busy. Okay. Number two is there's some businesses kind of at the other end of the spectrum that are treading water in varying, degrees, meaning, hey, we're kind of going along, but we're just hoping this thing goes away so that we can get back to business the way we used to do it. And this is the key point I want to bring up. They're not mentally choosing to change anything. They're just choosing to try and weather this storm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the
They're
third one would be,
maintaining status quo essentially.
yeah,
Like to
yeah.
yeah.
And I'm not judging them. I'm just kind of pointing out that there's businesses, whether they, can or can't, that are in that position where they've got to kind of tread water.
Yeah.
The third one would be is there's businesses that are shut down by circumstances or by order. They can't operate right now. Those businesses, now this is the key, because I've seen both sides of it, where leaders in those businesses can either pivot
Right.
and do something different while their traditional business model maybe is shut down. And that would be, to use a cliche example, is where, okay, well, Blockbuster, shut down and they didn't pivot
Right.
to be the Netflix. Okay. And, Netflix is a business, by the way, that's booming right now, right? We've all
Yeah.
got hours to do that with the kids. But then I guess the fourth one would be businesses that are shut down or on the verge of shutting down. And, to be an objective term, their business model is kind of dead.
Hmm.
And this has just exposed it. So they might have been treading water before, or maybe even possibly being okay. But now that the circumstances have maybe put the spotlight on it, their business model gets exposed and it's like, hey, it's dead. And going back to the very first point that we kind of touched on today is the leader doesn't have to, it's easy to say, tougher to do, have to take the blame. They don't have to take the blame. Just be objective, kind of remove it from themselves that, hey, that didn't work right now. And I don't think it's going to work in the future.
Yeah.
So I've seen some really successful long-term restaurants as an example where they've had to shut down. And the owner has said, you know what, knowing what I now know, I don't think I'm going to do this whenever this clears up.
Right.
Again, going back to a fire, if the whole business burnt down and you're in a really valuable real estate part of town, well, yeah, insurance is going to cover it, hopefully. And then the owners have a decision. Hey, are we going to rebuild it? Or are we just going to take the money, sell the property, and decide to do something new? So those four kind of things set the organization and the owner up, because those are distinctly four different kind of business situations, business models.
Right.
And the circumstances can be the excuse or the motivation to make change.
And I'm sure the faster that you recognize yourself in one of those four will lead to you actually going through the exercise of figuring out, does this business model still work, or do I need to pivot and do something different?
Yeah,
Rich,
and the interesting point, I'll just add one little extra thing on that, Eugene, is because it's maybe we kind of recognize it, but it's not talked about, is that when something like this happens and the owner and the organization is forced to change, they may have wanted to change before,
right.
but it wasn't socially acceptable, either internally or externally, to change. And so that can sometimes take the pressure off the owner going, hey, I know I really wanted to do this, but it's going to affect staff, it's going to affect people, it's going to affect the community. And this just gives an opportunity to go, hey, I can make a change now. So
Right.
that it's how you look at it.
Rich, final question, and one that I ask everyone that comes on the Daily Dose of Advice. What is the number one piece of advice that you are giving your coaching clients right now?
We started with it, man. Focus. And I know it's now, but it's in every business. I mean, there
Yeah.
is, for most businesses, there is more customers worldwide than they can probably serve, than their capacity. Okay. And if there isn't, then they've got to look at who they serve. That's why I kind of mentioned it before. So that focus is like, great, Rich, I hear that. I need to put in focus. What does that mean? And I'll break it down into an acronym of CAP, C-A-P. The first one is clarity. 80% of the problem is just getting clarity. What are we trying to do? What is the problem? What does the success look like? What is the clarity? And owners don't have to do that by themselves. They can do that with their leadership team. They can do that with their team members, their staff, coaches, obviously. But that it really starts there, because that's the destination, point B, and the starting point, point A, where we're at. So if I want to go to Maui, great. I still got to figure out where I'm going to start from, because if I'm flying from Vancouver, I can't drive there, right? So both are important. Number two, A, is the action. Once I've got some clarity, then I've got to take action. And being a recovering perfectionist myself, yeah, given more time, I'd probably want to do something better or more research so I don't make a mistake. But I've just got to take action based on the information I have now.
Right.
And then I can adjust. Okay. And that leads to P, which is put the focus for myself as a leader or my team on progress, not perfection. Can we measure progress so that we're heading in the right direction, and then
Right.
adjust? So the focus, clarity, action, and progress.
A sound system. Thank you, Rich.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for your advice and your wisdom. If you'd like to learn more about Rich, you can check out focalpointcoaching.com. Again, if you'd like to learn more about Align, which can help you sort of track your progress, like Rich just talked about, check out aligntoday.com. And we hope you will join us next time. Till then, thank you so much, and I hope you make it a great day.
Thanks, Eugene.